Hello, 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 and welcome, everybody. This is the Restore Her podcast, and I am your host, Cheryl Lacey Donovan. We are grateful that you're here with us for our this episode of our podcast where we're talking about our Restore Her Summer Enlightenment Summit that's happening June 7th through 13th, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, nightly. Each night, and we are so excited. Man, listen, the first one was awesome, and I'm expecting that this one is going to be even greater than the first. And just a little bit of history about the Restore Her movement. HER stands for Healing, Enlightenment, and Renewal, and that's exactly what we're trying to do with all of the women whose paths that we cross. We are looking to help them to restore her identity, restore her soul and spirit, restore her purpose and passion, restore her emotions, restore her health, restore her relationships, and restore her wealth. So everything that we do with the Restore Her movement is all about helping women to find restoration, healing, and renewal in those areas of their life. So each of the Teach Hers that will be a part of the summit this go around in the summer, we'll be talking about one of those principles of restoration. And the person that I have with me here today is no stranger to the Restore Her movement. She participated in our Winter Enlightenment Summit, and she did such an awesome job that I could not resist but to ask her to come back and participate this time. When she was with us before, she talked about Restore Her Wealth, and this time she'll be talking about Restore Her Identity. It is none other than Paula McDade. Paula, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. I really appreciate the opportunity to pour into your followers, your listeners, and I am just honored to be here.
So before we jump into the conversation, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to refresh everyone's memory about who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. Well, of course, my name is Paula McDade, and I am the founder and CEO of Stellar Creative LLC. I am a kingdom business, kingdom meaning the business belongs to God. He is the CEO and the founder of my business. I just do the work. And so my company actually does graphic design, web design, and publishing. I'm the editor-in-chief of Brilliant Awakening magazine. And Brilliant Awakening is also a movement. It is to help individuals come into the light of who they really are, just from a kingdom perspective, and to come into more of their identity. So I'm really excited to be on the podcast today talking about this topic because it is something that is very, very familiar to me. So thank you once again for having me.
Absolutely. When we're talking about identity, I can't help but to think about all of the things that we are dealing with currently in our culture and in our society, where it seems like there are people who are bent and bowed on destroying people's identities and stripping them of who they are and who they were meant to be. And I wondered if you might be able to speak to that for us.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we are spiritual beings. We're spiritual creatures. We're created in the image of God. It says so in Genesis 1:27 that God created mankind in his own image. Male and female, he created them. And so we do realize that we are spiritual beings created by God, but we also have an earthly identity. We live on the earth. And so therefore, as earth-bound creatures, we also have an identity within our particular culture, our particular race. And that's important. That's important for every race on this planet to be able to identify themselves within that particular culture. Why is that important? Because it gives you a sense of your earthly identity. It gives you a sense of your family, your history, and a sense of where you've come from. So for someone to strip that away from you, it is a very personal thing. And right now, you're correct. As a people, as a black people, we are being assaulted on every side in an effort to cause our race to not be valued, to not be held in esteem, and to not walk proudly amongst the other races on this earth. And I do believe it is an all-out assault that is originates in the spirit, but is happening on the earth realm.
I agree with everything that you just said, because it has been mind-boggling. It has been very surreal. It has been very, I think there's like a spirit of heaviness that has fallen as a result of everything that we're seeing around us, and how we, as people in general, and I kind of pull it back down even for us as women, because I'm seeing a lot of women now who have found voices, who are stepping up to the plate to push back and say enough is enough. But I know that as women, before, and oftentimes we find ourselves trying to live up to these expectations that other people have for us, and we, in various relationships over time, we tend to not show up in the world the way that we should, because we're not living our own truth. We're not listening to our own inner wisdom. And in many ways, we end up being a fraud in our own lives. And when you hear that, how do you respond to that?
That's a lot to unpack. I'm just going to say this, that you're absolutely correct. We've been living from the wrong script. Cheryl, we've been working with the wrong script. We've been told by other people who we should be, how we should function, to dumb ourselves down. And really, God did not create us for that. When he created female, he was bringing something into the world to bring not only beauty, but also intelligence. We have a certain amount of intelligence about us, especially as women of God. There is a certain amount of intelligence that the world needs inside of us. We were created to bring balance into the world, and we were created as the crowning jewel of humankind. There's a reason why God decided to make us last, because he was bringing a crowning jewel into this world. And when we devalue ourselves, when we dumb ourselves down to make other people feel comfortable, when we're told that, oh, you have to play nice. Listen, Eve was given instructions after the fall that she was going to crush Satan's head. You don't get it. You don't get that opportunity because you're playing nice. And I think for far too long, we as women, we have played nice with things that have been coming against mankind for way too long. You hear all of the sexual assaults that have been happening, and we're often the victims of human sex trafficking. And I'm going to say this, too, about Breonna Taylor, the young lady who lost her life before this gentleman, George Floyd. George Floyd. Before he lost his life, there was a Breonna Taylor who also innocently lost her life. She was not doing anything to threaten anyone. She was not committing a crime. She was actually in her very own apartment minding her own business when the police burst into her apartment and shot her to death. And there was not nearly the amount of outcry that you hear regarding her life. And it's not because, people are playing favorites. But what I think has happened is that for too long, women have been in the background of society. And we have sat down and just allowed certain things to happen. And we have not begin to walk in our power and authority, the authority that was given to us through Christ Jesus. And so because of that, when we devalue ourselves, the world devalues us. And it's time for us to begin to place the proper value on our womanhood, on our identity as women of God, as the creature that brings balance into this world. Our voices are needed. Our activism is needed. Our beauty is needed. There's nothing wrong with embracing your physical beauty as long as it doesn't become vanity. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so we've got to start valuing ourselves, because when we do that, then the world begins to see that value and respond in kind. And I think that's what my thought is regarding women embracing the wrong identity or walking in the wrong identity.
So I'm sure that you have probably done an exercise very similar to this before. I know that I've done it, and I will ask someone, who are you? And when you ask them who they are, they tend to run off a litany of titles and a litany of roles that they have, but very rarely do you really get to the core of who they are. And when you hear that, how do you respond to that?
Most people, in all honesty, even believers, do not really fully understand who they are. And most of them have been indoctrinated through church to give the religious answer. When you strip all of that away, and when I say religious, I mean the function of a person who operates within a certain structure, and that's all you see yourself as. You were a child of God the moment you were conceived in your mother's womb. He is the one who chose us. He chose us that we become his children. And therefore, that is your identity. Everything else is secondary. Everything else is secondary. So being a mom, being a wife, being a minister, being a prophetess, being all of those titles, those are secondary. When you boil it down to the very bare minimum, if all you were was a child of God, that would be enough. Because in that is all of the fullness of everything you need to function both in the world and in the afterworld when we leave here. So I really feel like it is important, and especially now, for us to boil down the bare minimum of who we really are. When we strip away all of the titles, all of the accolades, all the awards, all of the roles we play to other people, at the end of the day, we are children of God, and there is so much richness in just that alone.
Mm-hmm. What do you think is the biggest challenge that people face when trying to understand their identity and who they are? What are some of the things that you see that people are faced with in trying to get to that reality?
Dealing with their past. You know, someone like myself who has a past that was not very pleasant. I was a child of, my father abandoned us at the age of 4, my biological father. My mother remarried. That stepfather sexually abused me throughout my childhood. You know, when you have things that have happened to you in your past that have been very hurtful, very harmful, very traumatic, oftentimes you get caught up in that past, and it clouds your vision as to who you really are. So you really can't embrace, your original identity, because all these other things have been placed over you. All these other bad things have been placed, and even things that people have spoken over you can cause you to miss your identity, to misidentify yourself. And so I think we have to, again, strip away those layers of our past and all of the things that we've gone through, the abuse, the abortions, the teenage pregnancies, the missteps that we've made in life. Strip all of that away, and then all the trauma that we've gone through, and really, really understand. And that takes some work. Most people don't want to do the work. I know me coming out of that type of past, it has taken me years and years to strip away the layers of shame and guilt and condemnation because of that. But when you do that work, when you begin to allow God to heal you from the inside out, by communing with him, by having a relationship with him, by developing your prayer life, by getting in his word and finding out what his promises are, going to counseling if that is necessary, going to a deliverance minister who can really minister deliverance to you and help you overcome some of those spiritual bondages. That's when you begin to strip the layers off of the false identity, and you can now embrace your full, truthful identity. So that is the work that is necessary to really find out who you really are.
on the head when you said having to do the work. And I think a lot of people, that can be difficult sometimes because, like you said, you really have to dig deep and, look at your truth and understand what that looks like and face some things that are not very pleasant in order to get to where you're trying to go. So, aside from that, what else might you offer to someone who is truly in the process of truth-seeking and identifying who they are?
Just, really begin to ask yourself questions. One of the things that I have really become very good at is asking myself tough questions, motivations behind different behaviors that I may have. Why do I think the way that I do about certain things? Why do I feel the way that I do about myself? About, what's behind that? Why do I associate with the people that I choose to associate with, or why do I make certain decisions? When you begin to examine your motives and you begin to judge your own self, then it's more difficult to when people try to judge you because you already know who you are. And you can reject their judgments because you've already done that self-examination. You're not a victim of what other people say about you. And so becoming very clear by asking questions, asking hard questions of yourself. If you have repeated cycles in your life, you keep getting into wrong relationships, or you've had several failed marriages, or you can't seem to get along with family members, or you can't seem to get along with a certain sex. Some women have problems getting along with other women. Why is that? Why is that? Some women have a problem getting along with men. Why is that? What is the root behind that? See, when we begin to ask these hard questions, now our identity starts to become clearer to us, because that answer holds the key to unlocking your true purpose and your true identity. For a woman who struggled with dealing with other women, there is a wound that needs to be forgiven. It could be your mother, it could be your grandmother, it could be your aunts, your sisters. Someone has hurt you. Someone has wounded you. Could have been your best friend in elementary school. Whoever it was, when you begin to unpack that and you start to lean into forgiveness, now you're starting to get somewhere. Now you're starting to make progress, because in that your freedom comes, and in your freedom comes your true identity. And now you begin to emerge as the authentic self and not your fake self.
Wow, that is so awesome. I cannot wait to hear what you have prepared for everyone for our summer summit. Again, thank you so much for agreeing to participate with us once again. And before we let you go, I want to give you an opportunity to let everyone know how they can connect with you.
Absolutely. You can reach me on my website at paulamcdade.com. Pretty simple. I try to make it very easy for people to interact with me. Also on my social media, Instagram is at Official Paula McDade, and it's the same on Facebook, Official Paula McDade. If you will look that up, you can find me there. And, yeah, I have a YouTube channel for Brilliant Awakening. So if you want to search YouTube for that, that is the brand that I go by on YouTube. So I'm just, again, honored and excited about this opportunity to pour into people and to just share on identity. And thank you so much, Cheryl, for having me.
Absolutely. Everybody, we have been speaking with Paula McDade. She is one of the teachers that will be a part of our summer Enlightenment Summit that's happening June 7th through 13th, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time and 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time nightly. We hope that you will join us for the summit. Also, we want to remind you that you can visit our website, www.restorehermovement.org, or you can visit my website, CherylSpeaks.org, to find out more about what we are doing with the Restore Her movement. And don't forget to go out there and connect with Paula at paulamcdade.com. And as always, we want to remind you that God can do exceedingly and abundantly more than you could ever ask or think, according to the power that works in you. Be blessed.